Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today's episode is with a very special guest, Mr. Aasson Esmie. Let me tell you guys a little about Mr. Esmie. So he is the Chief Executive Officer of XS Consultations LLC. He's a licensed insurance agent that holds both a PNC 220 commercial and a 215 life and health insurance license. Mr. Aasson is a philanthropist, an international TEDx speaker, a motivational speaker, life coach, entrepreneur, and a real estate professional. Prior to starting his agency, Aasson spent over 15 years as an IT and telecommunications technician with AT&T and Diebold. He has also served as a technical consultant for some A-list organizations. Due to Aasson's varied backgrounds across multiple career paths, it has provided the perfect foundation for him to assist a wide variety of clients. Please welcome Mr. Aasson Esmie. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Denise Nicholson. I'm here, finally.
That's right. That's right. So I didn't tell you this, but you are going to have to recommend a book because you're not an author yet. And so because you're not an author yet, you're going to have to recommend one of your favorite books, which you shouldn't have a problem with because you're an avid reader. So that's later on. So start to think about it.
Super, I will. I definitely will.
So tell us a little bit about who Aasson Esmie is. Who are you?
Well, just to keep it simple, I love helping people. And from I've been growing up years, that has always been my passion, just to serve and help folks. And funny enough, I've earned the nickname of XS, which is everything I do, I give more or excess amount of it. And that has followed me for basically all my life. So I've started off simply with a passion to just operate in the service industry. And I did it for a good while because I like the hands-on, being out there, getting dirty, doing things with my hands and stuff like that. But over the years, I realized that I can do so much more than just dealing with machinery. And then that's when I transitioned into helping people, which is more of a personal experience now. The memories, the feeling, it's more hands-on. And that's what I've been doing over the years. From a technical background, now making the transition to helping people.
So that's where the life coaching or the coaching comes in.
Yes, 100%. And I've utilized some of the same skill sets that I've learned over the years in my personal development, and then utilize that now to help individuals regardless of their challenges, just to help them to navigate life in general.
Yeah. Beautiful. So we met on the Power Voice, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Boy, that was a real great platform. This was the platform with Mr. Les Brown, the famous and renowned Mr. Les Brown. And we met on there and has been working on different projects behind the scene. It's been some time, but what has brought us together was just we had the commonality of we are both from Jamaica, and then we had this desire to strengthen our self-development and our speaking, I guess the way we speak to motivate people. So when I was going to South Africa, you were like, listen, I have to come. So you got to tell the people about your experience with this quantum leap retreat, because it wasn't just a retreat. It was really a self-development and an area for you to have deep thought about your life, what you've been through, and some breakthroughs about what's holding you back and what can propel you forward. So tell us, what was your intention going on this retreat?
To simplify, when I got the opportunity, one of the things that popped in my mind was it's outside of my comfort zone because I don't like flying. But when I looked it up and I saw the opportunity of both being on the TEDx platform, which is an international platform, and then coming out of my comfort zone to meet other like-minded individuals, I said, you know what? Let me do this. The whole experience, it was eye-opening. To keep it simple, phenomenal experience. And I have so many pictures, I have memories that will go with me now that I've even related some of these experiences to some of my clients. Like, listen, if you want to achieve and move and make that transition, sometimes it will require you coming out of your comfort zone to get there. So even the things that I saw when I was in South Africa, I was able to transition and use that now to help some of my clients, and it was mind blowing. I love
Stretching
it.
yourself.
Yes, yes, definitely. Not just the flight going there, but also the environment. You can look at pictures
Yes.
and you can look at video programs and everything, but
So
being
different.
there physically, it's a whole nother game. It's a whole nother experience. The music, the native people there, being able to speak the language and hear the language in a different way, interaction
Yes.
with the staff, folks that was, at the hotel, everything. It worked really, really nice. I loved it. I'm actually looking to go back to another retreat. Wherever you're having it, let me know. I'm going to be one of the first ones
Definitely.
there.
Absolutely. We're going to Bali and I will talk to you more about that. Definitely. We're going to Bali next year. So I will keep you posted. So where in the world did you travel from to go to South Africa and Zimbabwe?
Okay, so I am actually in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I left from here. It was 15 hours down to. Actually, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and then connecting flight directly down to Johannesburg. So yeah,
Yes.
it was a bit of a
And
stretch. It was worth it
it
though.
and the reason why I ask that is because people feel like, they are restricted. There are no boundaries. I mean, there are boundaries, but there's no restriction to where you can go now. We live in such a global community. You can just hop on a plane and 15 hours later,
Yeah,
you are on a different continent,
yeah,
learning about new languages and new cultures and interacting with people that were so welcoming and warm. Oh, it was just an experience that you have to feel, you have to live it,
yes.
yourself. Hmm.
100%, 100%. I actually still have some of the contacts from from back home down there. Yeah, I'll send them messages every now and then, even though they're like
Yes.
6 or 7 hours time difference. I still
Yes.
say, hey, what's up? Is everything okay? And just the communication too makes you want to go back.
Yes, man. Yeah,
It's like home
definitely.
away from home.
What was the highlight of the retreat for you?
Two things. Not the Victoria Falls was mind blowing, but also in the
Yes.
quantum leap itself, the
Ah,
activities that we did,
yes.
I wasn't expecting to be that connected with it in the initial
Mhm.
stages, but after evaluating everything, it took me to a place where I was like, okay, so I need to pay attention to these emotions. I need to pay attention to why I do things a certain way, how
Yes.
I can improve on it. And then it made me look now back at my ancestry in terms of how
Yes.
they did things and the best that they did with the resources that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Know how many different resources I have now, how much more I can do. So
Yes.
that exercise that we did,
Yes.
I still have my notes and everything. Still have it. It was good. It was
Guys,
good.
you have to experience, because it's not just about a trip. It's not
No,
just visiting another culture. Yes, we're quantum leap into different parts of the world so we can get engaged and meet new people and learn new cultures and just interact, in the world. But it's also about looking deep within. And
Yes.
that's where the quantum leap comes in, because you had a couple of breakthroughs on there because of the so many different exercise that we got an opportunity to do. And that's the difference between traveling and
Mhm.
doing a quantum leap
Yeah.
transformational retreat.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
different.
to do some exercise that makes you look deep within and come up being much better.
Yeah. From day one.
Yeah.
From day one. And I remember the first exercise that we did from day one. And when
Hmm.
I got back to the hotel room, I paused for a while and I said, you know, I was a little bit vulnerable, but it made me question certain things. And from that, I learned so much because you can always say things and write it down, but when you're actually there doing it, the physical aspect of it is totally different. It made me evaluate the way I processed information as well.
Ah.
Yes, it did. And I sat for a while looking at the notes that I did.
Hmm.
And from then, I was able to set up some game plans now going forward as to what I would do and say differently.
Ah.
How I would present, yeah, how I'd present myself too. It was
Beautiful.
effective. It was really effective.
Beautiful. So, what did you come out of the retreat with? Sounds like a lot, but what can you pinpoint? Like three things that you came out with.
I came out with a treasure chest. That I used that word to say a whole lot of authority. Confidence, one, yes. The ability to speak to different audiences and the mindset. My entire mindset has changed. So those are like three big takeaways.
That's
And
huge. Yeah.
there's no growth in the comfort zone. That's one of the things
Oh,
I say. Yeah. So
remember you heard it here, people. Gems dropping there. There is
there's
no
none.
growth in the comfort zone. You really have to push yourself and stretch yourself.
Yeah.
And the rubber band that has been stretched cannot go unstretched.
Yeah.
People will see the difference, hear the difference, look at you, and automatically see that there is something, even if they can't pinpoint it and figure it out, they can say, there is something different about you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Typically, a bodybuilder goes into the gym and he's working out, and yeah, it's painful, but the end
Mhm.
result when you're done and you step
Yeah.
back and look in that mirror and like, this is what I've been working on. And to see it
Yes.
come to fruition, priceless. Priceless. Gotta
Wow.
stretch that mental muscle.
Yes, yes. Wow. I have, I love traveling, and that's probably one of the reasons why my transformational therapy is not just based off of coming together in my town or in a town near you.
Hmm.
I love traveling, and I love meeting new people, and I love learning. And when you go out into the world, your expectations are so jarringly different
Yes.
from what you get, because you
Yeah.
expect, yes, to meet people, but you never know how people are going to leave you feeling.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I kept getting that every time we interacted with people. They just left me either feeling grateful or feeling, you know blessed,
Yeah.
or feeling that I was privileged to be in their company because of the knowledge that they were giving me or the way they were treating me. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was. And funny enough, I the simplest things you can learn from. And I
Yes.
realized that people in different sections of the world do things differently than how we do it over here in America.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
That's right.
It,
That's
it,
right.
it doesn't mean
It's
that it's
just
incorrect.
different.
It's just different. And it can be good different too, because a few things that I observed, even just the way how the drivers drove on the road, I'm like, they're still going to get you from A to B,
Yes.
but just like how we'll be a little bit more flexible with certain things. And I realized, you know what? We're still going to get there. A to
Yeah.
B, let's go. It
That's
doesn't
right.
have to be perfect. Everything is nice. And then when you get there, the end destination too, you're like, wow, it's actually worth it now.
Yes.
The scenery, I keep
Wow.
remembering the scenery driving. Every time we were moving from point A to point B, there was always something to see, observe, the mountain.
Epic
It's like,
views, man.
yeah,
Oh,
there's
when we were in
actually
Cape
hills.
Town, you captured a lot of videos.
Yes,
And I
yes.
just, I remember it was just every single time we're driving somewhere, I'm like, this place is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
You can't help but look around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and enjoy the journey.
You hear people talk about taking the scenic route. this
Man.
was like the exact same thing. Going through the mountains, going up there. I'm like, wow. And you
Just
realize
breathtaking.
there is another way and a better way sometimes of doing things.
Yes. Can you imagine what Bali's going to be like? Because
Oh,
Bali is just full of views and landscapes, and the scene is going to be off
it's
the
gonna be nice.
chain.
Definitely. I'm thinking about it. We're gonna see.
What is one thing that you purchased while you were on this transformational retreat that has positively impacted your life?
I'd say that's a very good question. It was a
Mhm.
vest, custom made vest.
Ah,
Authentic material from the motherland, hand sewn, and it fits perfectly. That in itself,
wow.
when I came back and I actually tried it on and I looked at it, I felt like I brought back a piece of South Africa.
You,
And that's exactly what I did. I haven't worn it to anywhere yet. I'm waiting on that occasion where I'm just gonna step out.
me too. Me too. I'm waiting on that. Okay. I'm thinking like, where can I wear this? I just picked mine up from the dry cleaners yesterday because as soon as I brought it, I dropped it off at the dry cleaners. And I just remembered yesterday, said, oh, let me pick this up. And it just gave me a feeling of welcome,
Yes,
like you're home. You know, like I was crowned.
yes, definitely.
A beautiful feeling,
It's
man.
good.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a positive impact that piece of
I still have some of
that
it. I'm still wearing
purchase brought you.
here. I'm still wearing one of the beads, and I have some that I wear too. Those are nice.
I love it.
I still wear it.
Yeah, man.
Embracing the culture.
Yes, keep it with you on a daily basis. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you've prepared for this. You are preparing for this, not just preparing for the retreat, but there was this beautiful experience with the op- opportunity to do the TEDx talk.
Yes.
How did you prepare for that?
That was months of first designing the talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, TED has its own standard that you have to obey. It's not just a regular motivational speech that's going to be done from stage. It has to be structured a certain way. So
Yes.
the entire preparation process even taught me that doing keynote speeches or preparing for a certain platform, they have their guidelines.
Yes.
It took me a while because I redid my whole talk a couple of times just to make sure it was flawless. Or
You were not the only one, okay? Because I kept getting, okay, do it again. Do it again.
yes, yeah, it was. But
Yeah.
I realized that you have to designate time to what is important to you. And this was a very important
Yes.
moment. And I took time out of my day and my schedule with clients and everything just to make sure that I was doing my due diligence and making sure
Yeah.
that I presented perfectly. And it was
Yeah.
good. You know, being able to do it before the audience too, without any form of script or clickers or anything,
Mm-hmm.
I felt good. At the end of the day, I felt that level of confidence. Like, okay, you're up one more level. You're no longer here. You're stepping up now.
Jeez and peas. What did you learn about yourself because of that preparation?
I had my own boundaries in terms of where I thought I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I realized too that in your mind, I had to push myself more. And there is so much more left on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we reach a stage in our life when we're like, okay, this is it. I think I've got it here. But then
Mm-hmm.
a situation may draw like more out of you to get you to
Yes.
give more, your willpower, your desire now. Okay, you're tired, but give it another 15, 20 minutes and see what happens. That
Yes.
extra nudge, I realize regardless, anytime I feel distracted or feel like I'm at that limit, there's still more left inside that I can do.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yes,
great point. So you learn that you can always push yourself more because there's still more inside that you can give.
yes, yes.
I'm so glad you said that. So I recently listened to an interview with Busta Rhymes,
Hmm.
and Busta Rhymes was explaining a part that he did. First of all, the way he got the opportunity to be on that album, it was the album with Chris Brown. And he, Busta has a signature rap where he speaks really fast. Gonna get it. So,
Hmm.
so he said he could hear in the next studio. He heard what the music. It was so loud in there. He heard it. So he knew it was Chris Brown's session. So he went and knocked them up and said, "Hey, you guys are doing a great job, but whatever. But y'all, I can hear y'all." And they said, "Hey, you want to jump on the album?" And he said, "Sure." He said he jumped in and did a really great job, and he felt good. He was like, "Man, I threw it down." And Chris Brown listened to it and said, Buster, that ain't it.
Hmm.
You come back again. Push yourself a little bit more." And he said when Chris Brown told him that, he pondered. He listened, like he thought about it and was like, "What do you mean? I just like tore it up." But then he said he thought about it and was like, "Let me see how much better I can be at this." And he said he changed it up a little bit, went in there, add a little flair. And I think he won a Grammy for that album. That first of all, he had to push himself to go out of his comfort zone, to get up out of his studio, to go and knock on somebody else's session, and then to say, yes to okay, because when you get an opportunity, you better say yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
don't wait for everything to be lined up. Oh, you wait. Did you talk to my lawyers? Did you? How much are you paying? Am I getting any publishing? Am I getting any
Just go
writers?
right
Like,
into it.
just do it. Everything doesn't need to be lined up. You can take care of what's important after, but accept the opportunity. Take the opportunity when you get it, and then he wasn't afraid to take criticism.
Hmm. Hmm.
He got stretched, even though he knew he did what he thought was his best. He was able to stretch himself because someone looked at him and said, "You know what? You've got more inside of you," just like what you just said. So that story really reminded me of that.
And you touched on a very good point, which is take criticism. Because a lot of times, sometimes it's constructive criticism
Mm-hmm.
that we need to be, I would say, aware of. Because a lot of times, even
Yeah.
for myself, earlier when I was growing up, I'm Mr. Perfectionist. You couldn't tell me that everything was perfect. But then I looked at it from a different approach. There's this quote: "If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change."
Yes.
And I realized that, hey, what if my assumption is incorrect or my way of
Yes.
thinking? And then I started to evaluate situations, and that's exactly what I did. And it
Yeah.
changed a lot for me. Just be open to the possibility.
Yeah.
There's more left.
You may not like what the person is saying. You may think that is not good criticism. But what if you looked at it as good criticism and deconstruct it so that you can get the good out of whatever they said?
Yeah. If
Maybe
you're,
they didn't know how to say it better, because some people you cannot. They just know what they know. Their
yeah,
experience make them who they are. So they're gonna give you feedback based on how they've experienced life. Yo, that was bull. What you doing?
yeah.
When really they're saying you've got more inside of you. Push yourself a little
There's
bit.
a whole lot more. Big deal.
Boy, that's a learning lesson, and I hope that you guys are taking notes and writing these things down. Now, what advice would you give to a smart, driven person that wants to go into the field that you're in?
I'd say desire is a very powerful word.
What's the word?
Desire. Your
Mhm.
desire. Yes. Because it won't be work if it's your desire to help folks, whatever you're passionate about.
Mhm.
The days when you feel like you don't want to do it, you'll still get up and do it. There are days when I have clients that I'm dealing with and I say, you know what? I'm tired. But when I think about the thank you notes, the cards, and everything that I get, and the clients getting to their destination, clients successfully closing on their property or investments, and everything works out good, the reward at the end far supersedes what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll say, whatever you choose to do in life, be driven by your desire, whatever makes it comfortable and easy for you, what comes natural. Sometimes we
Mhm.
have this tendency of trying to please everybody, and we're internally not comfortable.
Mhm.
Be true to yourself, be authentic. What comes natural to you, just do it and find a way to monetize that. And then
Mhm.
it will be a snowball effect. Gradually, it will grow, 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 and it's going to be a good business.
That's really good advice, especially when you're young and you're smart, but you need to understand yourself so that you can make good decisions in this world of entrepreneurship. Very good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, how did you become this person who you are today?
Over the years, I've learned a lot because the me now wasn't the me years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I was working with AT&T, I saw an average of maybe 6 to 7 clients a day for 10
Mm-hmm.
years. Now that's a whole lot of like interaction between people. And every
Yes.
time I had conversations with them, whether they were wealthy individuals, regular folks, I've always had conversations from an observer's point of view. And they'll give you key information to see how is it that you're operating? Is it the way that you're communicating with them? And I'm a big advocate on good communication because I realize this is the only instrument we have. When,
Yes.
when when computers go away, before computers, everything, it's the way how you speak to people, honing your craft and getting your message across. It can make your life easy
Yeah.
or it can make your life a living hell, you know?
Yeah.
So being able to
Communication.
communicate, and that's what I realized I had to work on the way that I speak and present myself to people. And the minute I made the transition, everything, the doors started to open. You know,
Mm.
it's a lot simpler. Start with the basic stuff.
Who inspired you?
My dad, actually.
Mm.
My dad is one of my biggest inspirations. He's a very quiet man. God bless his soul. He passed away a few years ago, but he was actually my best friend. But I
Mm-hmm.
learned so many things from him. And he was in
Yeah.
the construction field. He's an engineer,
Yes.
and he would bring me to a lot of these construction sites. And the way how he communicated with everybody, because you'd have the mason, you'd have the guy that does the block work, steel work, like everybody. You'd be talking to the prime minister, diplomat, because he operated in the office of the prime minister at some point. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized he was able to speak to anyone, anywhere, at any time about any topic. And I thought that was very interesting because you could ask him anything and he'd just pause and say, okay, if you wanted this result, this is what you would do. So he was one of my biggest inspirations because I realized he never liked to ruffle any feathers. He was a simple man, but very
Hmm.
effective. He got results. And that's what I really wanted, to get results. And he taught me a lot.
That tells me a lot about your talk because your TEDx talk was based off of the underpinning was communication.
Yes.
And to hear that your father is your, I guess, your biggest inspiration, and to hear that your talk is based off of what you've learned from him. I know, this is interesting, and now I understand you. Now I
Yes,
understand why. Yeah, it's
yes,
really
there are levels
impactful.
to it. A lot of levels.
Wow. Now, when you, while you're becoming, you learn some things through failures. What have you learned? What's your biggest failure, and what have you learned from it?
My biggest failure is also one of my biggest wins, actually.
Mm,
So years ago, I started a business called Excess Freight and Logistics.
mhm.
And I realized that no matter how you try to perfect things, life doesn't always work the way how you want it to work, but it's the ability to pick up after a disappointment or a failure and move on. That's the biggest, because nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
So that business went belly up, not because of my doing, but because I had some other folks that were partners and they wanted to go a different route.
Yeah.
And we had to dissolve everything. So I lost. But I also learned that in the same time frame while I was building that business, I was learning skill sets and things that I now could use in my other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Only when opportunity comes, because sometimes it may seem like a door is closed, but it's actually a blessing in disguise.
Amen.
And it works all the time. So now that failure has brought me to now Excess Consultations, which is a broader company, and I'm able to do more for different clients from different backgrounds and that sort. So yeah, I've learned.
So
So
don't be afraid to fail.
no, don't, never. See it as a
You.
learning experience. Ask yourself a question whenever that happens. Say, what can I learn from this situation? Or what
Mm-hmm.
could I have done differently? And there's this book by Don Miguel. He said, The Four Agreements.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a very good book.
Yes, The
Very good
Four
book.
Agreements by Don
I
Miguel
encourage
Ruiz.
anybody to read that. Be
Yes.
impeccable with your word. Don't take it personal. Do your best and never assume.
And never make assumptions.
Never make assumptions.
Yes.
This is what
Yes.
it is. Move forward and keep moving. Progress, not perfection.
Yes. Putting yourself out there. A lot of times we get an opportunity and we look into it too much because we're like, oh, this is not perfect time in our, but just keep moving. I love that. I love that you recommended a book, because I told you that you were gonna have to recommend a book. So that one just eased right in there.
Popped in.
So here you go, guys. That was your bold book of the day.
Yes.
The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a
Yes.
wonderful book, and it shows you different, of course, it shows the Four Agreements, but it shows you different walks of life, how you have to address things and how you will address things, and how the way you look at things change. Just like you were saying, Aasson, the way you look at things change the way you,
Things, yeah,
oh,
yeah. The way
the
you look
way
at
you look
things,
at things change the way
if you change the
you
way you
see.
look at things, the things you look at will change. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. Yes. So definitely go out and get that book. They do have it on Audible, and read it and see how you can implement some of the things in your life. I've made it one of my signature to follow those four agreements for
Yes.
myself, because if you don't make assumptions,
Yes.
but give yourself time to see what's going on and then ask questions when you're not sure, you will get out of a lot of trouble.
Yes.
That's for one thing. You'll ease your mind from a lot of pain,
Yes.
not making assumptions. If you know you're doing your best, that's the second one of the four agreements. You
Mm.
know, just always do your best. When someone come up with criticism, you can always look at that criticism and take the best out of it, because you know you have been doing your best. So absolutely, the great book to recommend. I second that, and you guys will be blessed for it. Now, there are so many different paths that you've taken just to be here today. What would you do differently knowing what you know now?
I would not procrastinate
Mm,
because I realized over the years I take a longer time to make decisions.
mm-hmm.
And I realized that can also be beneficial as it can also be detrimental too.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I had to work on over the years, because it's me trying to perfect things or trying to do my best, but sometimes I have to trust the process, knowing that it will
Trust
eventually
the
work out
process.
and I won't have all the answers before I start.
Yes.
And that in itself is a whole nother ball game. The minute I get faced with a decision, and I've actually used this with some of my clients, I say, I'll never judge you because the time when you made that decision, I don't know the options that you had. So
Yes.
if you operate from that premise, never judging, just say, okay, these are the options they had. They had to choose between A, B, and C.
Yes.
5 years later, there could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G that are
Yes.
options. So I can never judge you on that. It's
Yes.
what's happening now. And that will help you to make decisions quicker, because even if you're going to do a business or do something and you're going to fail, it would be better to fail sooner, 2 months into it, and then say, okay, oh, that didn't work. Let me find
Yes.
something and do another way. Then take 3 years, realize you've lost time, and still have to start over.
Because you've just by taking action, you've learned some stuff. So whatever decision you made, if it didn't work, now you have some things to take back. You're not starting from zero. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting with experience. You're starting with lessons that you
Yes.
learned from the experience.
Yes, 100% correct.
Oh, really great one. Now, there are 3 questions that I love to ask my guests, and that's because sometimes I'm a little bit nosy. So I love to ask my guests these 3 questions. And number 1 is, what is one bold promise that you can share with the world that you know will help them live a better life?
A bold promise.
That will help them live a better life.
I'd use a quote for that one. And it's, the tunnel you fear to enter holds the desires of your heart. We can't allow fear to hold us back. So make a promise to yourself that you're going to do it scared.
The tunnel you fear to enter holds the promise.
The desires of your heart.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. That's a good promise. What is a bold statement that you can share with your audience that you know will cause a paradigm shift?
Very good question. I would say
Mhm.
you have to have the ability to learn and unlearn the things that you've learned.
To unlearn and learn and unlearn. Okay.
Yes, because sometimes we operate based on what we've been taught in the past, and we have a closed mind towards a new or a simpler way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So be flexible and know that sometimes you don't even know the things you don't know until you try it.
Mm-hmm.
So be open to the possibilities.
I like that one. I like that one. All right. So, what is a bold move that you're going to make in the future that will surprise us?
Well, since the quantum leap, I've actually redid a lot of my goals.
Mm.
And I've set some really huge goals, because if I'm able to travel to another continent and experience what I experienced right now, the world is my office. That's what I like. That's how I like to put it. The world is my office. The possibilities are endless, and I'm going to go out and the world will recognize my footprint everywhere.
Oh, that is
So the
beautiful.
lives that I've touched. My goal now is to touch as many lives as possible and help as
Man,
many people.
That's encouraging. That means Quantum Leap is doing what I intended it to do, to
Yes,
transform lives.
definitely. I
That is
started.
beautiful.
If you see my phone calls, trust me, that since the quantum leap to now is a whole different person.
Oh,
It's a whole,
wow.
yes. My conversations are different.
Guys,
Timing is
if
different. So yes, I'm gonna help a lot of people.
you gotta be a part of the next Quantum Leap. It's life changing positively. Okay. I love it.
Highly recommended.
Where can the audience connect with you?
Well, on Instagram, it's Aasson underscore XS. That's two letters, letter X and S.
Mm-hmm.
And my website, www.accessconsultations.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a simpler way. If you want to send me an email, if people still do emails like for stuff
Yes, we
again.
do.
Yeah, the simple one is actually my name, Aasson at att.net. So that's two A's, two S's, att.net. And you can send me an email. I'll be happy to help anyone that needs help in that sector. Finances, I'll help you, as I'm also a financial professional. So if that's an area I'll help, I'll definitely do. And real estate. Those are my two main areas.
I have one more question for you. I just read this. I can't remember what's the name of the book that I read this in, but I wrote down this question because I love encouraging people to share their messages. That's me.
Mhm.
If you had a gigantic billboard and
Hmm.
you could put it anywhere in the world, what is the message that you would share to millions of people?
I would say I'd call it the iceberg effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the structure of an iceberg, you're only seeing the peak of it outside the water, but there's so much more below the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So it would allow folks to dig deep below their surface, that facade that they're putting out there, to find the
Mm-hmm.
truth them deep down. So it would encourage them to dig deep, definitely.
Ah, okay. So on this huge, gigantic billboard, you would just put dig deep.
Dig deep. You're an iceberg.
G's and P's. That's powerful. That is powerful. You're not even you're not even telling them anything. You're asking them to look into themselves. Tell
Yeah.
yourself some stuff.
Dig deep. You're
Yes.
actually an iceberg because 90% of the iceberg structure is below the surface.
90%.
So that mask that we walk around with, that's not the
Yes.
true them.
Yes.
Dig deep. Be authentic. Just own it.
Wow. Yes. Look deep within
Yeah.
and just let all of the base, all of the stuff that is down there shine through.
Yes.
Dig deep. Oh my God. It's such a pleasure to have you. You have been just wonderful, dropping gems. Make decisions quickly, guys. That's one thing that I wrote down because I love, I love, I love that I can take chances. And I think that the more people, more people should try it, should do it, and stop procrastinating. Make your decisions quickly. Yeah, you may fail, but that's okay because there are lessons from your failures. So make decisions quickly. Read the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz because you will get a wealth of self-development just from reading that one book. You would get a year's worth of self-development, if not way more, just from reading that one book. So if you don't read anything else this year, and we're going to continue to recommend book, but here you go, that one amazing book that Mr. Esme is recommending. And then I love that quote. I couldn't write all of it down, but I know you said the tunnel you fear
To
to
enter
enter. Go
holds the
ahead.
desires of your heart.
I love that. Pose the desires of your heart. I really love that, guys. And finally, remember to dig deep because that's when you get to share with the world all of the stuff that's been brewing inside, and not just what you've learned, but dig deep into your emotions also. Address the things that you've tucked down that are part of your base. If it's anger, if it's anxiety, if it's love, if it's fear, dig deep and address those emotions, because they help you to be the person you are. And the more you understand yourself, the better you can be to the world. I really appreciate those recommendations, and I hope you guys do too. If you would like to write a book and publish it, please send me an email, authordnicholson@gmail.com. I would love to help you. I'd love to hold your hand to the very end, from you getting your book idea out of your head and onto paper. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.